What is going on, everyone? This is Thomas Meinert. I am an agent with Remax Precision, and we are on another episode of Thomas Talks on Thursday. And I hope you guys are all excited to be here. I Let's try that again. My name is Thomas Meinert. I'm a real estate agent with Remax Precision. This is Thomas Talks on a Thursday. I'm doing this show in hopes of giving you guys alternate real estate content other than just the super polished stuff that you see me put out. I'm trying to have this be more of a conversation. So I am doing this live. I am doing this in hopes of you guys seeing what it really feels like to talk real estate with me, what it really feels like to talk Des Moines, or just so you guys can get to know a little bit about me. So the idea is that this is a conversation. So the people that are watching out there, if you have any questions about what I am talking about, feel free to comment. I'm also going to say right now, I'm putting in the comment section on some of these live streams, there is a link that you could just go ahead and call in and be a part of the conversation if you are interested in that. I will be watching the comments as much as possible, though. So if you have a question, I will answer it live. I'm going to pull up one thing really quick, and then I'm going to start to get into some cool stuff that we at the Springer Brothers real estate team have going on that I want to make sure you guys know about. But like I said, go ahead and comment your questions, and I would be more than happy to talk to you about it. I want to talk about a new listing that Springer Brothers just listed. I try to talk about all of our listings, but this one is especially cool, and it is a rare opportunity, and I want to make sure that we get as many eyeballs on this as possible because this is one of those things that is truly unique and kind of sort of a once in every few years opportunity that comes up in the Des Moines area. It's a very, very rare property. There's deals to be found in the market all the time, but there's not homes like this listed all the time. And I'm talking about 29015 Hickory Lodge Drive in Van Meter. It is listed just under $2 million. It is, let me get the full grasp of this for you guys. This house was built in 2019. It is on 3.7 acres. It has 3,900 square feet finish on the main and the half story that is above it. It's a 1.5 story home. And then they've got another 1,600 finish in the basement. There's 5 bedrooms total, 5.5 baths. There's a 3-car attached garage and a 4-car detached garage. The detached garage is 1,100 square foot itself, and it's heated and cooled. So just right there, the property has a pond on it as well. It has some timber on it. It is just the dream that I hear people talk about all the time. Nothing too unmanageable. You're talking about 3.7 acres, but it's just a beautiful property that I think the right person is just going to fall in love with this place. So I'm going to switch through some pictures of it really quick just to show you some other stuff that it has going on as well. You got a gym there in the basement, and it's a walkout basement as well, too. So very, very cool. This is walked out to a patio that has a hot tub. You got a wet bar there with plenty of space to entertain there as well. Look at that laundry room, full separate laundry room with the sink and plenty of space to organize laundry. Get it all done there, bring it back to your bedrooms. This is the deck that comes off of the living room, and it's kind of its own private secluded little thing that looks out on timber. It's just, this property is amazing. This is the photo that I would just be sending to everyone if I could send just one photo. Look at that awesome open kitchen into the living room, into a formal dining area, and it has some amazing exposed brick, a vaulted ceiling, the flooring that just looks great with this property. I mean, it's amazing, guys. And then this is just one more drone shot of the photo. In the bottom left there You can see the pond that they have going on. It's just the property is stunning, guys. I think everyone should check this place out. This is the detached garage with the little workshop off the back there, but that's fully heated, like I said. So it's an amazing property. So comment what questions you have about it. I can answer that. And we're gonna get cooking on the rest of this stuff. Let's get into questions people asked. Every Thursday morning I post a post asking for questions to answer on this show, so you can get your questions early, or if you're watching this live stream right now, don't be afraid to ask questions as you are watching as well. I see a few people chiming in, so don't be afraid to comment with your questions. I'm going to just swoop through really quick and see if I'm not missing any. Cool. We had Jared Nikolajsen pop in with saying, what's the best game to play with friends? Can be video games, can be card games, it can be anything. So I could talk about this for basically a full hour, but I'm just going to talk about a few different things and then just kind of leave it at that. But if you want to talk having a good time with board games, I am the person to talk to, in my opinion. And if you ever want to play board games, let me know. So I for sure can help you out with that. If we're going to do video games, the best party, well, I'm going to say there's 2 party video games that you guys should check out. That is, of course, Mario Party, any version of it. I like the newest Switch one. It is a great time. Or Mario Kart. Those 2 games really know how to get the party going. Okay. And then if you're going to go into board games, the best board game to play with friends, well, I guess it should be called a tabletop game because there's really no board to this one. But if you want to just chill with friends and have a good time and not play a serious board game, the game that you're going to check out is called Codenames. That is a great time. It's a super simple game that you play in 2 different teams, and you will have more fun. You will throw away your Cards Against Humanity because that game is stupid, and Codenames is way, way better. You guys should all check out the game Codenames. Now, if you want to get into a more serious board games, there's 3 that I would check out. I would check out a game called Dominion. It is a shared resources deck building game that you basically build your own engine out of the deck. It is a ton of fun. If you wanted to get a little bit more deep and a little bit more of a difficult game, I would check out the game Wingspan. It is very, very similar, but you're basically building an engine by yourself and you're competing to have your engine outperform everyone else's. And it is you're collecting or bird watching, basically. It's the dumbest premise for the game, but I guarantee you it is one of the most fun games you'll ever play. Check out Wingspan or any of its variants. There's one called Finspan, and there's one called Wormspan, where Finspan, you are observing/collecting fish, and Wormspan, you are observing/collecting dragons. Great game. One of the starter ones that I would check out as well is a classic called Ticket to Ride. You are building train tracks to get from one city to another city, and you are given different cities than everyone else, and there's just competing as far as claiming tracks before other people claim tracks. It's a super, super fun game. And then lastly, and the one I'm most serious about, and I'm not joking, I'll show you how serious I am about it right now. I just keep stuff like this around the house because of how serious I am about this. It is a game I love called Magic the Gathering. And Magic the Gathering, there's a bunch of different ways to play this game, but you are basically what they call a planeswalker, and you are casting spells against your competitors. And some of those spells you cast are instants and sorceries that affect what your competitors are doing. Some of the spells you cast are creatures. Zach is chiming in with fascinating. Zach, you need to play Magic the Gathering. And it is the most addicting game you will ever play. It is fairly expensive, but the good news is, if you're interested, you have a friend that already has a ton of cards, and you don't have to pay anything to come play at Thomas Miner's house. So if you want to play Magic the Gathering, let me know. I'm always looking for more people to play Magic the Gathering with. So that's the last bit that I'm going to nerd out, and then we're going to start talking about real estate stuff again. So Maggie chimed in asking, what is the worst thing you could do for your home's curb appeal? The most obvious thing with this is just letting things get overgrown or unmaintained. Any weeds or overgrowth is really, really going to kill your curb appeal. There's lots of people that put a lot of money and hard work into landscaping, and it would be a shame to just ruin that and let it get overgrown. Zach is saying he's a level 8 beige wizard already. You can't handle my swag. Yes, I agree with that, Zach. That's a very good point. I can't handle it. I cannot handle it at all. So the obvious thing is just to not let your curb appeal get overgrown. I would also say, and this is going to start to transition into just more of my opinion, but I would say just to not overdo it as well. Your landscaping should be something that is proof that you're taking care of your house. But I see a lot of people just do too much, and not everyone has that green thumb. Not everyone loves landscaping. And when they walk through a house that looks like it would just be a lot to maintain, that can get kind of overwhelming. And it can be distracting from the exterior of the house in general, too. So that would be something I would think about as I am taking on a project of worried about my curb appeal. As far as the exterior too, just make sure it looks clean. Having some decent grass. Having some decent grass is very, very important. I've tried to push sellers on how important it is when I walk through houses, or not when I walk through houses, but when we walk up to houses that clearly have a lawn that has been fertilized and well maintained and doesn't have any weeds. I can't stress to people enough how much hard work that takes. And it takes a lot more work than you think to build up a yard like that. So purchasing a house that already has done that work and all you have to do is maintain it is very, very appealing and very, very underrated, in my opinion. I personally purchased a house that didn't have a great yard, and I kind of, if I were to have a regret of my purchase, that is one of the regrets, because it's hard to build that yard back to where you want it, So it's definitely. Brady chimed in to say thoughts on the Bears coming to Iowa as a football fan, as a real estate agent. So yes, this in case you guys didn't see, Republicans came out with a proposal to, there's this bill going on in Iowa to promote more businesses coming into the state of Iowa and generate more economic growth. And one of those parts of that is they want to expand it to hopefully make it appealing for the Bears to look into moving to the state of Iowa. If you guys don't know, the Soldier Field where the Bears currently play, the stadium is in need of some remodels, some rework, and the Bears have for a long time been trying to get Illinois to work with them to get some tax money to either rebuild Soldier Field, or they purchased property out in Arlington Heights. I believe it's called Arlington Heights. I might have messed that up. They purchased some other property in Illinois to potentially build a new stadium. The only hiccup is they're claiming they cannot do it without the help of Illinois' government. Part of this is they are threatening to just leave the state completely. Indiana has thrown out a proposal to them to move to, I believe, the northwest side of Indiana. Iowa is apparently making a play to be one of those other people that entices the Bears. Do I think this is actually going to happen? There's no chance that this is actually going to happen, unfortunately. But Bree commented and say, "Nerd alert! It's not very nice, Bree. Don't knock board games or Magic the Gathering until you try it. You guys are all very, very mean, and I'm never going to talk about things I love on a live stream again." Okay, back to the Bears. This is not going to happen, to be totally honest. I don't think, me personally, I don't think Iowa has the population or the economic support to support an NFL team, unfortunately. Would I love it? Yes. Would this most likely be right around the Quad Cities, I think would be the best place to put this? Yes. And would I go to an NFL game if there was an NFL game that close? Yes. But I just don't think that there's enough economic support there, and I don't think the Bears would see that as enough economic support. There's just not enough of a population close to the Quad Cities to really, really, really support it. So unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. If it were to happen, I think it could be a really big come up to whatever area they decide to move to. We would have to see exactly what the state funds of support would have to be to the Bears to make that happen, to decide whether that's really, really a good deal. But I know, like, for example, the Green Bay Packers, I know Green Bay is essentially built around that stadium and built around the Packers. And the homes that are around that stadium are worth a whole lot more than they would typically be worth if that stadium wasn't there. So would it be really, really good for real estate values around wherever the Bears were to hypothetically live? Yes, it would be. It wouldn't really bring in that many more jobs. I think it would be a good boon for tourism, and I think it would bring quite a bit of money into the state through tourism. But like I said, you would just have to see what kind of deal the state would be looking to make to the Bears to make that happen. And unfortunately, from my past experience with deals like that, the numbers typically don't make sense. And no matter what, I would not be cheering for the Bears. I'm just going to throw that out there. I would not become a Bears fan. I'm a Chiefs fan, in case any of you guys were curious. And you wouldn't be able to get me to change my mind, basically. So let's go to the next one. Bree wants to see a day in the life as a real estate agent, and also what are your thoughts when rates might go down, or should we all just prepare for 100-year loans? Do not, in my opinion, do not get a loan term longer than 30 years. So don't prepare for 100-year loans. I don't have the crystal ball for rates, but I will tell you, I think by the end of the year, we're going to be looking at 5.5 being a lot more normal. And I think that's appealing, possibly lower than that. But I think long-term, I think we're going to start to get down to 5.5, in between 5.5, maybe even lower. But I think they're going to just start to hover around 5.5. And historically, that's a really, really good rate to purchase a house at. And I think once we get into that, we're going to get a lot more buyers into the market. So let's go into what a day in the life looks like. Let's make this a little bigger. Is that going to make it bigger? No, that's not going to make it bigger. Here we go. So my day in the life is kind of sort of chaos. This is making it look more controlled than it really is. But let's walk through kind of what I'm doing day to day and how I kind of try to organize my day. So early morning, I'm working on mostly getting to inbox zero. So I'm making sure I'm looking at this thing that I'm always attached to, and I'm making sure I don't have any unanswered text messages from clients. I am going through my email and making sure I don't have any unanswered questions on there. And then anything and everything that I have under contract, I am making sure that we're hitting deadlines, hitting timelines on that. I am checking that stuff daily to make sure that we're keeping things on track, or at least if we're not on track, that it's not my fault. And just kind of making sure all that stuff runs smoothly because in the worst case scenario, I do not want the reason the deal falls apart to be my fault because of lack of communication. Communication is one of the things I take pride in, and I'm doing it all the time. But early morning is when I'm really, really focusing on making sure that all my I's are dotted and my T's are crossed, and we're hitting deadlines and there's no unanswered questions. Mid morning is when I'm more so thinking about, and for those of you that don't know, I wake up extremely early. So when I say mid morning, I'm talking more like from 8 to 10, maybe 8 to 11, depending on what kind of projects that I'm looking at doing. Mid morning is when I'm really looking at lead generation and marketing. So that's when I'm working on stuff like this. I'm working on making sure the slideshows for my live stream are ready. I'm making sure that my posts about different listings I have are ready to go, or just any post I have, educating or entertaining buyers or sellers on social media. That's when I do a lot of my social media content. I'm reaching out to prospect for new clients. For those of you who don't know, one of the big parts of my business is when I have a buyer, I'm trying to find off-market deals for them. So that's when I'm doing that type of stuff. Uh, I'm also looking at the MLS pretty much all the time, but this is when I really sit down and look at everything that's been listed for the day and send out houses to buyers that I think they might be potentially interested in. If they are interested in it, this is typically when I'm scheduling those showings, or scheduling any other appointments that I might need to make. And then basically, once I get that stuff done, I try to get that stuff done as early as possible because the longer I've been doing this, I'm in year 8 of doing real estate. The longer I've been doing this, I realized basically after 10, 11 a.m., I'm kind of sort of at the mercy of my clients. Um, so basically after 10 a.m., after 11 a.m., I am out on appointments, showing houses. I'm going to home inspections. I'm running whatever errand that might come up for listings. And then basically doing that whole inbox zero thing again, making sure I'm re-following up with people, crossing T's, dotting I's, and stuff like that. People always say with real estate agents that it's 2 jobs really. It's working on your business, it's working in your business. The on your business stuff is all that stuff I'm doing in the morning, making sure my contracts go through, making sure I'm finding more people to help. And then the in the business stuff is the conversations with clients, the showings of houses, and all of that type of stuff. And that type of stuff can happen all the time. I mean, I work when my clients want to see me, so that stuff is really based on my client's availability. So it can kind of just end up being anytime. So they always say, go be a real estate agent. You have a flexible schedule. You have a flexible schedule because you need to work when other people are available. Because everyone that I'm typically working with, hopefully, has a full-time job, and all those full-time jobs can have widely different schedules. So I am working when they're not working, basically. But the fun part about it is as long as you work smarter, not harder, you can get a lot of this stuff done pretty quickly and run an efficient business and not stress yourself out too much. I know a lot of real estate agents get distracted and overwork themselves and end up working a lot of hours a week, but I pride myself on communicating really, really well and working efficiently and getting this stuff done all very, very quickly and still running a good business. So that's kind of a big overhead view. If you do ever have any questions about what it's like to be a real estate agent, these are conversations I love to have. If you are ever interested in joining this wonderful career that I'm in, do not be afraid to reach out. I am going to pop myself onto the main screen here and kind of say thank you really quick, but I'm going to check and make sure that there's not any comments before I end this live stream. My dad popped in and suggested that the Mittendorf area would be a good area for the Bears to go to. Yeah, but there's just yes, that wouldn't be a bad area. And I do think if the Bears were to come to Iowa, I think there'd be a lot more support than people think. But the Bears is an organization that's been in Chicago for a long time, that's been in Illinois for a long time. I just don't think that they would see the appeal to moving to Iowa. My dad also chimed in saying, "You don't have conversations with your father on there." My dad does like to bother me throughout the day and call me with questions, most of them not real estate related. And he sidetracks me a lot. That's why I have a bigger window than I realistically need to get all my stuff done. Cause I know at some point in time, my dad's going to call me and want to have like a 30, 45-minute conversation. And I can't really get much done during those conversations. So I have that in the schedule as well, like flex time for dad to call. So that is something that can happen. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you are watching this later, do not be afraid to comment with a question or two if you have any. And I will see you next week. I'll talk about those questions next week. I appreciate it. It sounds like it's going to snow tonight if you're in the Des Moines area. So let's batten down the hatches and get through this last snowstorm before spring is coming eventually. And let's remember, if you don't like the weather in Iowa, just wait 5 minutes, and I promise it'll get better. Have a great weekend, everyone.